Hey guys, welcome back. It's Edwin here, back with another video. This time we're going to talk about one of the worst financial mistakes you can possibly make when it comes to planning for your future. But first, make sure to stop the video, hit the like button, and subscribe. Let's get to it. Investing in your retirement account is pretty boring. But if you don't do it, this could be the worst financial move you would ever make in your entire life. There are dozens of different ways you can invest to retire. Let's talk about the two most common retirement accounts that are out there, a traditional 401k and the Roth IRA. So let's start with the traditional 401k. What does 401k even mean? 401k stands for the tax code subsection 401k. And all that section does is describe the rules and regulations for that retirement program. Let's take a few minutes and talk about those rules and guidelines. The most basic definition of the 401k account is pre-tax money taken out of your paycheck every payroll, every month, put into the stock market and held there over the course of your career, or until you reach 59 and a half years old. When that money is invested over the course of your lifetime, you're hoping that with market gains, you'll earn money and compound interest on the money that you initially invested. The 401k does allow for some pretty significant tax saving advantages. With that being said, anytime there's a tax advantage, there's going to be restrictions that come along with it. There is a max amount of money that you're able to put into the 401k each year. Every year that max tends to go up. Every few years it may go up, just depending on what they allow. This year, 2023, you're allowed to put $22,500 of your own money coming out of your pay directly into that 401k account. Now, since there's no income restrictions, you can make $10,000 a year or you can make $10 million a year, and you can max out that 401k every single year. Now, if you're 50 years or older, it's not too late to start. You can actually invest an additional $7,500 on top of the $22,500 into your 401k account to catch up. That's a total of $30,000 going into that account every single year after 50 years or older. But you have to remember, when you put this money in this account, you can't access it without penalty until you're 59 and a half years old. If you needed to access this money, you're going to pay a penalty with it. You're going to have to pay the taxes on the money as you withdraw it, as well as a 10% penalty if you decide to withdraw this before 59 and a half years old. So, true story here. I know a guy, he had $10,000 in his 401k. He wanted a new lawnmower, so he decided to pull the money out of his 401k to buy a new lawnmower. Who does that? So you're going to have to pull more than $5,000 out because you're going to have to pay taxes on the money as well as a prepayment penalty. So now you're going to be paying 35% in interest and taxes combined to buy a lawnmower. Do everything you absolutely can to not draw from your 401k before you're 59 and a half years old. So that max $22,500 that you're contributing, if your employer is matching your employee contributions, that match does not go towards that $22,500. You can put in $22,500 and then the employer can put their portion in on top of that, and it does not count against you. But of course, there is a limit when it comes to employer match to the employee. You could put up to $66,000 of your own money along with employer match into the account each year. Now, if you're 50 years or older, there's a catch-up for your employer contributions as well. So that cannot be above $73,500. Huge numbers. So over the years, that money will grow. All of the money that's in that account is going to grow tax deferred because a 401k takes pre-tax money and invests it into the account. Remember, tax deferred. You haven't paid taxes on it yet. So eventually, you're going to have to pay those taxes on the withdrawal. But all of the growth, the money that's earned over the course of your career, that is also tax deferred. So come 59 and a half years old, you'll be able to withdraw this money with no penalty and just pay your ordinary taxes on it. So you may immediately ask yourself, why wouldn't I want to take the tax advantage situation of the 401k? Why would I want to pay taxes now if I can wait to pay taxes at a later time? Isn't that the point of retirement, is to have as much money as possible? Well, the main reason is because the growth in the Roth IRA, the money that you put in, as well as the growth that it earns over the years, grows tax-free, which means at 59 and a half, you can withdraw this money and pay no taxes on it. Now, the Roth account, it has a max contribution of only $6,500 a year, or if you're 50 years or older, $7,500 a year to play catch up. One of the great advantages of the Roth account is that you can actually borrow from your contributions. Now, with that being said, you can only borrow from your contributions, not the growth. So if the money grows, say you have $5,000 in that account and it grows $1,000, so now you have $6,000, you can only borrow that initial $5,000 that you've put into it. Never anything more. If you do end up borrowing the whole amount, any of the growth, you will be subject to a penalty. So now, is a Roth or a traditional 401k the absolute surefire way to become a millionaire in the next 5 to 10 years? Nope. Very rare. And in my opinion, absolutely not. But it is a surefire way to become a millionaire or even multimillionaire over the course of your career. But you have to start early. You can't wait until you're in your 50s or even 60s to start and think that over a 10-year period, you're going to be making millions of dollars inside of your retirement account. Your biggest asset when it comes to investing, not only just your 401k, but just if you do some investing on the side as well in stocks, is time. Your biggest asset with investing is always time in the market. The longer your money is invested, the more interest you're going to earn over time. This is going to bring us to our next topic, compound interest. Compound interest can be very difficult for some people to understand, but I'm going to make it easy for you today. Think of compound interest like this. When you put contributions into your retirement account, your contributions are going to earn interest, but your interest will also earn interest. I know that seems confusing. Let me break it down. If you invest $1,000 a year into your retirement account and that retirement grows at 10% per year, after the first year, you're going to have $1,100 in that account. $1,000, 10% of 1,000 is $100. Add the two together, $1,100. So let's say on year 2, you don't invest any more money in that account. So you have $1,100 with no more contributions. That $1,100 is going to grow an additional 10% on year 2. So what's 10% of $1,100? $110. So your initial investment of $1,000 from year 1 grew an additional $100 on year 2 with no more contributions. Your $100 that you earned in year 1 grew at 10% as well. So now that $100 is now worth $110. That is compound growth in a nutshell. When your interest earns interest, multiply that over a 30, 40-year career, it will net you millions of dollars. But remember, you have to be consistent with your investing. That's why it's best to have your contributions automatically withdrawn each paycheck, each pay period. Now that you have a great idea of what compound interest is, what 401k means, and what Roth is, now we can talk about what's better. Is 401k better or Roth? Now, when you're comparing the two, you have to remember some guidelines. The traditional 401k, they require a mandatory payout. You have to remember, you have not paid taxes on that money yet. So eventually, you're going to have to pay the piper. There are minimum distributions starting at 72 years old. On the other hand, the Roth IRA, no minimum distributions at all as long as the owner of that account is still alive, which means the chance of having more compound growth increases greatly. The easiest way to figure out what would work best for you, the Roth or the traditional 401k, is to look at your current income versus the income you're going to be making at retirement age. Because you're in a high tax bracket now, it may make sense to take some of those taxes and defer them until retirement age, where your income is going to be lower. So in turn, your tax rate is going to be lower. The Roth, on the other hand, is going to have that advantage of continuing to make a high income and withdrawing your money without paying taxes on it because you've already paid taxes on it 20, 30, 40 years ago. So let's take a look at the real power of the compound growth that we've talked about. Now let's say you invest $500 a month into a traditional 401k account from the ages of 25 until 65 years old, so a 40-year span. If that account averages 10% over the course of your lifetime, you will have $3.1 million in that account come 65 years old. Now you have to remember, you are only investing $500 a month. That's less than the national average car payment. Okay, so over the course of your entire career, that's $240,000 you've invested. And that money has grew to $3.1 million. That interest portion is $2.9 million of compound growth. If you increase that contribution to $700 a month from 25 to 65 over that 40-year period, you would have over $4.4 million in your 401k. With just $200 more per month invested, your net is $1.2 million more than the $500 initial investment. So remember, we're talking about a traditional 401k. So that $3 to $4 million that you have now come 65 is subject to taxes. And because you're withdrawing it after 59 and a half years, there's no penalty at all, just your ordinary taxes that you pay. So you have to remember, how much taxes are you going to pay on the $4 million? So you have to account how much money do you really have in there that's accessible to you. Okay, so now let's get into the Roth IRA at $500 a month. Your numbers actually don't change. The difference is that $500 that you've invested, you've already paid the taxes on it. So at a 10% return, you're looking at $3.1 million from 25 to 65 with the same $240,000 invested. So the catch here is that you've already paid the taxes on the $500. So that $3.1 million is all tax-free. Your numbers are exactly the same if you invested $700. It's going to grow to over $4 million, and all of that money in the Roth is going to be tax-free. But you have to remember, if you do the Roth, your bring home out of your paycheck, how much money you're putting into your account week by week, every 2 weeks, monthly, is going to be less because you're not taking the tax-deferred option, the tax savings. But let's be real now, it's really not that crazy of a change. It's worth it. So what do? I do a Roth account. I'm taking full advantage of the tax savings on the growth come 20, 30, 40 years from now. It just makes sense to me. And now some employers, they're even offering Roth 401ks, which is a combination of both accounts into one. So you have the Roth after-tax contributions being put into the account, but with the 401k limit. Remember, the Roth limit was $6,500. The 401k limit is $22,500. So with the Roth 401k, it's after-tax contributions at $22,500 is your max. So you can max out up to $22,500. Not every employer offers the Roth 401k combination, so check with an investment advisor, make sure that they do have it and it works for you. With that being said, if they don't have that and you're maxing out a Roth IRA, you can still contribute to the 401k as well. So if you max out at $6,500 for your Roth, any additional money you can put into, you can have both. You can put into the 401k as well. Just remember, don't limit yourself. If you feel like you want some in your Roth, some in your 401k, or the Roth 401k, put all of it in there. You can do whatever you'd like. The main purpose is that you're saving for the rainy day of retirement. Compound interest does not require you to make a lot of money. You can have a medium level salary over the course of your entire life and retire a multimillionaire. Investing and investing early, this is how family trees get changed. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you like this video. I'll see you on the next one.